Doctors and nurses have Reddit who have delivered babies to mothers who clearly cheated on their husbands. What was that like? Story 1. We had this one patient come into the ER with her boyfriend of 4 months. She was 19, complaining about a UTI, but something was off. She was way too dramatic for a simple infection. We tell her we need a urine sample, and she begs us to cath her because she can't pee. That's already weird, but okay. So the nurse gets in position and suddenly she yells, "Call L&D, she's crowning." This girl had absolutely no idea she was pregnant. They barely had time to grab the baby before it rocketed out. The boyfriend just sat there, head in his hands, whispering, "We've only been dating 4 months." Man was out there living a real-life plot twist. Story 2. One time we had a lady give birth in the back of the ambulance, and as soon as she saw the baby she yelled, "Oh shit, it's not white." Like, ma'am, that is a bold thing to say out loud in a room full of people. We pull up to the hospital, and there's this big white dude in a uniform waiting, husband I assume. We unload her, and he takes one look at the baby, jaw drops, and just emotionally evaporates. Security had to hold him back because he wasn't registered as a visitor yet, but honestly, I think he was grateful. Meanwhile, his wife was pleading, "Babe, I can explain every bit of this." No, lady, you cannot. That man had a 1,000-yard stare like he was watching the ghost of his marriage leave his body. Never saw him again. Story 3. Just envisioning 4 Spider-Men pointing at each other. That's what happened when this baby was born with chlamydia, and suddenly both parents had some explaining to do. Mom fesses up. She cheated. But wait, Dad was also cheating. With the other guy's girlfriend. And now we got a full-blown STI paternity crisis, where all 4 of them are infected, and nobody knows who had it first. The doctors were just standing there like, "Y'all are gonna need more than antibiotics to fix this mess." And the best part? They had no idea who the actual father was. That was a rodeo. Poor baby, though. Ain't his fault his parents turned his birth into an episode of Maury. Story 4. Not a doctor, but my buddy got a brutal surprise when his girlfriend gave birth. They were both white, but when the baby came out, very much not white, she immediately launched into some nonsense about dormant traits. Like, ma'am, are you seriously trying to gaslight this man with mystery genetics right now? He just stood there, staring at the baby, and finally said, "Misunderstanding? What misunderstanding?" She kept doubling down, but dude wasn't having it. He called off the engagement immediately, returned the ring, and never looked back. That might be the fastest an entire relationship has disintegrated in real time. Story 5. So this guy and his wife were super excited for their baby girl. They went all in on the pink, clothes, blankets, the whole nursery. Delivery day comes and the doctor pulls the baby out. Silence. The dad's face goes pale, the nurses are frozen, and the poor mom is looking around like, why is no one saying anything? Turns out they weren't having a baby girl. They were having a baby boy. The doctor finally goes, "Congratulations, it's a boy?" Like he wasn't totally caught off guard himself. The dad just blinks and goes, "You sure about that?" That baby spent his first year of life in an all-pink wardrobe because these parents were not about to redo that nursery. Story 6. Had this guy in the OR for his wife's C-section. Everything's fine. I'm at the head of the table keeping her calm. And then, baby's out. Except, well, the baby was very much not the same race as the dad. The whole room went silent, but the husband? He just looked down at his wife, sighed, and said, "You F asterisk asterisk asterisking whore." Then he turned and walked straight out. She immediately lost it, screaming for him to come back, but there wasn't much she could do, what with her abdomen being wide open on the table. We had to sedate her because she was thrashing so much she was at risk of ripping her stitches. Never saw the guy again. I assume he spent the rest of the day calling a divorce lawyer. Story 7. Fucking koalas. You know how much I hate them? A lot. But you know who hates them even more? My old professor who did a study on them in Australia. One day he's minding his business, observing a particularly dumb one trying to eat eucalyptus off the ground. It wouldn't touch it because apparently, if it's not on a branch, it's not food. Out of nowhere, another koala straight up drops from a tree onto his back, claws deep into his shoulders. He's screaming, thrashing, trying to shake off what is essentially a leaky, STI-ridden tree gremlin, and the thing is just holding on like a furry little demon. Eventually, he pries it off, bleeding everywhere, and the park rangers? They just go, "Yeah, they do that sometimes." That was the day I learned that not only are koalas unbelievably dumb, but they also have a casual habit of surprise attacking people like nature's least coordinated assassins. Story 8. So my gym teacher was married to the biology teacher, and the bio teacher was real close with the math teacher. One day, bio teacher gets pregnant, and everyone's all excited. Baby day comes, and she brings the kid in for everyone to meet. There's an awkward silence, and then someone points out, "This baby looks exactly like the math teacher." Like uncannily similar. Gym teacher did the math, pun intended, drove straight to the nearest hospital parking lot and, well, let's just say, the school went through a very sudden staff shortage. Small private school, wild place. Story 9. My best friend's brother-in-law has 2 black parents and came out completely white. DNA test confirmed both parents were his. Genetics are wild, man. Apparently the dad had some distant white ancestry that just yeeted itself to the front of the gene pool, and the kid came out looking like he should be named Chad. People kept side-eyeing the mom until they saw the paternity test, but still, can you imagine explaining that to your in-laws? "No, I swear I didn't cheat. Genetics just decided to play a prank." Play. Story 10. One time, a woman gave birth, and the moment the doctor saw the baby, he just turned to the mom and whispered, "Congratulations on your beautiful, healthy white baby." The dad got up and walked straight out. No words, no yelling, just gone. Dude vanished like a ghost. I don't even think he stopped at the parking lot, just kept walking straight into a new life. Story 11. Had a buddy in college who absolutely lost his mind when his girlfriend gave birth because the baby came out looking too purple. Instead of, waiting for a doctor to explain why newborns sometimes look weird, he went full keyboard warrior, jumped on Facebook, and wrote this scathing post about how she was a cheating liar and had another man's baby. Fast forward a few days, the baby turns completely white. DNA test comes back. Yep, his kid. Instead of apologizing like a normal person, he just deleted his entire Facebook. Like bro really thought he could Ctrl+Z his public meltdown. Story 12. One time I delivered a baby, and before I could even say anything, the mom grabs my arm and whispers, "Tell me the color the second you know." I'm like, okay. Baby comes out, and I just go, "Congratulations, it's a white baby," because I immediately understood what was happening. The dad, dead silent, just stood up and left. We never saw him again. No yelling, no confrontation, nothing. It was like he simply ceased to exist. Story 13. So there's this woman in labor, and her husband is holding her hand, super excited to meet their daughter. The nursery is pinked out, clothes, blankets, even the bassinet. It's like a Pepto-Bismol factory exploded in there. I deliver the baby, look down, and something's off. For a second, I genuinely think I'm looking at a birth defect. Then it hits me. That's a penis. The entire room goes dead silent. The dad just blinks and says, "You sure about that?" Bro, I promise I know what a penis looks like. That baby spent his first year dressed exclusively in pink because these people had fully committed to the girl aesthetic. Story 14. My cousin's friend had a surprise baby situation. She wasn't dating anyone seriously, just enjoying life. So when she got pregnant, she called up all 3 potential dads and told them straight up. Instead of drama, they all just kind of went, "Well, guess we'll find out together." And so, 3 dudes sat in a waiting room, waiting to see who was about to have their entire life flipped upside down. Baby comes out looking exactly like one of my cousins. Dude just nodded, accepted his fate, and stepped up. No fighting, no arguing, no paternity test needed. Kid has 2 loving parents even though they never actually got together. Honestly, kinda wholesome. Mamma mia, but stress-free. Story 15. I had this patient come in for stomach pain with her husband by her side. We run some tests, and surprise, she's pregnant. Cool, right? Except her husband had gotten a vasectomy a year ago. I slowly backed out of the room after delivering that news. Look, I know vasectomies aren't always 100% effective, but the way that man's face dropped, I was not about to be collateral damage in that discussion. Story 16. There was this guy whose wife was in labor, and the second she started pushing, she grabbed the doctor's wrist and whispered, "You tell me the color the moment you see." The doctor was confused at first, but then the baby came out, and he immediately went, "Congratulations, it's a white baby!" The dad just stood up and walked out. No words, no yelling, no dramatic exit, just a silent, existential, crisis-level walkout. Dude didn't even bother sticking around to cut the cord. We never saw him again, and honestly, I think he just kept walking until he found a new life. Story 17. My buddy's friend had a classic "you are not the father" moment. He was white, his fiancée was white, the whole family was eagerly waiting in the hospital, and then the baby was born, very black, not even a little ambiguous. Fiancée started stammering about dormant genes and recessive traits like she had been preparing this speech for weeks. My buddy's friend just looked at her and said, "Misunderstanding? What misunderstanding?" and walked out. Never looked back. Returned the ring. Blocked her on everything. Fastest annulment in history. Story 18. Had a baby born on my shift, and immediately both guys in the room leaned in to inspect the baby's face like they were trying to spot a hidden detail in a magic eye puzzle. Turns out neither of them knew who the dad was, so they both showed up just to see if the baby looked like them. The baby came out, and one of them just sighed, nodded, and went, "Yep, that's me." The other guy patted him on the back and walked out. Just left, like it was a casual poker game, and he'd lost the hand. Weirdest paternity test I've ever witnessed. Story 19. One time, this guy was so convinced his girlfriend cheated that he went full conspiracy mode when their baby was born too purple. Instead of, waiting for the baby to regulate its skin tone, he took to Facebook, posted a long rant about betrayal, and even tagged her family. Few days later, the baby lightened up, looked just like him, and the DNA test confirmed he was the dad. Instead of apologizing, he just deleted his entire Facebook. Bro tried to hard reset his reputation like we all didn't just witness his public meltdown. Story 20. Koalas are the absolute worst animals, and I will die on this hill. Dumb as bricks, riddled with chlamydia, and literally too stupid to eat if their food isn't on a branch. But my favorite fact? Baby koalas transition from milk to solid food by nuzzling their mother's butt until she leaks diarrhea, which they then slurp up like a smoothie. Oh, and the males? They'll just yeet themselves out of a tree mid-mating if the female resists, which is why their brains are so small. They need extra cerebrospinal fluid to cushion the impact of their dumb little sex-fueled falls. So yeah, everyone thinks they're cute, but they are truly just leaky, venereal, disease-ridden, brain-damaged tree goblins. Story 21. A buddy of mine worked in an ER and had one of those this-can't-be-real-life moments. This girl comes in with her boyfriend freaking out over what she swears is the worst UTI of her life. She's dramatic, saying she can't pee, and straight up begs for a catheter. So, the nurse gets in position, and boom, she's crowning. No contractions, no "I think I might be pregnant," just instant baby. The boyfriend just sits there, face in his hands, whispering, "We've only been together 4 months." Bro was not prepared for his relationship to come with a surprise third-act plot twist. Story 22. One time I was in the room when a guy's entire life crumbled in real time. His wife was giving birth, he was right by her side, all smiles, and then the baby came out, and was very much not his race. He just blinked, looked at her, and calmly said, "You ******ing whore," then walked out. Didn't yell, didn't cause a scene, just left. The wife immediately lost it, screaming for him to come back, but, she was still mid-surgery and had zero mobility. We had to sedate her because she was thrashing so much. Never saw the dude again. Honestly, I respect how cleanly he cut ties. Story 23. Back in college, my friend's buddy went full soap opera when his girlfriend gave birth. The baby came out looking super purple, and instead of waiting for a doctor to, I don't know, explain that babies do that sometimes, he jumped on Facebook and unleashed a full meltdown, accused her of cheating, called the baby another man's kid, and just nuked his entire relationship on the timeline. A few days later, baby turns white. DNA test? Yep, his kid. Instead of apologizing, he just deleted his entire Facebook. No accountability, no public retraction. Just CTRL plus Alt plus delete on his whole existence. Story 24. Had a patient straight up tell the doctor, "Let me know the color as soon as you see." I thought that was a weird request until, well, baby came out, and the doctor immediately went, "Congratulations, it's a white baby." And the dad stood up and walked right out. No words, no questions, just gone. Like, dude just straight up respawned into a new life. Never even saw him in the hospital again. I assume he's in a new city with a new identity, pretending none of it ever happened. Story 25. My cousin's friend had what I can only describe as the most low-stakes yet high-tension paternity reveal ever. She wasn't dating anyone seriously, so when she got pregnant, she was honest. There were 3 possible dads. Instead of drama, all 3 dudes just showed up, like a weird game show. They sat in the waiting room together, waiting for the baby to pop out so they could figure out who lost. The baby came out looking exactly like one guy, and he just sighed and went, "Well, that's me." The other 2 fist-bumped him, said good luck, and dipped. No yelling, no arguments, just 3 dudes handling it like a tax audit. Honestly, kind of impressive. Story 26. Fucking koalas. I have never hated an animal more in my life. They have the smallest brain-to-body ratio, and those smooth little idiot brains don't even have enough folds to learn things. If you put eucalyptus leaves on a plate, they will literally starve to death because they don't recognize it as food. And let's talk about their horrific parenting. Baby koalas start eating solid food by shoving their faces into their mom's butt until she leaks diarrhea, which they then drink to get the right gut bacteria. Oh, and they're riddled with chlamydia. 80% infection rate. You could literally throw antibiotics from a helicopter and you still wouldn't get rid of it. People think they're cute, but they are sexually aggressive, disease-ridden, incontinent little tree gremlins who scream like literal demons when they're awake, which is only about 20% of the time. If hell had a mascot, it would be a koala. Story 27. One time, this guy was in the delivery room, hyped to meet his baby girl. The nursery was pink, the baby shower was pink, everything was pink. The doctor pulls the baby out, and I swear, the silence in the room was so thick you could hear a heartbeat monitor from another floor. The dad just stares, blinking, and finally says, "You sure about that?" Because that baby absolutely had a penis. Apparently, even with modern ultrasound technology, doctors still miss that about 1% of the time. Poor kid spent his first year dressed like a Valentine's Day mascot because these parents were not about to redo an entire wardrobe. Story 28. Had a woman in labor who was acting real anxious. She grabs the doctor's wrist and whispers, "Tell me the color the second you know." I thought that was a weird request, but the moment the baby came out, the doctor goes, "Congratulations, it's a white baby." And the dad stood up, walked straight out, and never looked back. No questions, no accusations, just immediate spiritual disconnection. I don't even think he stopped at the parking lot. He just kept walking like a man who suddenly realized he needed to be anywhere but there. Story 29. My high school gym teacher was married to the biology teacher, but the bio teacher was suspiciously close with the math teacher. Bio teacher gets pregnant, everything's great, baby's born, and looks exactly like the math teacher. Gym teacher does the math, pun intended, drives straight to the hospital parking lot, and, well, let's just say we suddenly had a lot of teacher vacancies that year. Small private school. The gossip was legendary. Story 30. A friend of mine's brother-in-law has 2 very black parents, but when he was born, fully white. DNA test confirmed both parents were his. and the whole family had to just sit there and accept that genetics occasionally likes to throw out a curveball. Can you imagine that first conversation? "No, honey, I swear I didn't cheat. I guess your great-great-grandpa was just real strong in the gene pool." Because if they hadn't done that DNA test, I guarantee somebody's mother-in-law would have been side-eyeing that mom for years. Story 31. So a woman gives birth, and right away, I can tell something's off. The baby doesn't look anything like the dad standing next to her. Before I can even react, the mom frantically looks at the doctor and asks, "The baby's white, right?" And I immediately think, oh no. Doctor, completely deadpan, goes, "Yes, your baby is white." The dad just stands up and leaves. No shouting, no demanding answers, just a quiet, soul-crushing departure from the premises. It was like watching a man log out of existence in real time. Story 32. A friend of mine tells this story about his cousin, who had the most awkward paternity test reveal ever. She got pregnant while casually dating 3 different guys and was upfront about it. No drama, no secrecy. So when the baby was born, all 3 potential dads just sat in the waiting room together, waiting to see who'd have to start buying diapers. The baby came out looking exactly like one of them, and he just sighed, nodded, and said, "Well, that's me." The other 2 shook his hand, said, "Good luck," and left. No fights, no yelling, just 3 dudes treating an unexpected fatherhood lottery like they were watching a fantasy football draft. Story 33. Fucking koalas. People think they're adorable, but they're literally the worst animals. Their brains are too smooth to learn basic survival skills. If you put eucalyptus leaves on a plate, they won't recognize them as food and will just starve to death next to a full meal. Oh, and they're riddled with chlamydia, like epidemic levels. The infection rate is 80% or higher, and because they already barely function as animals, it just makes everything worse. And if that's not bad enough, baby koalas survive by drinking their mother's diarrhea to get the right gut bacteria. And the males, they frequently fall out of trees mid-mating. Their brains literally have extra fluid to protect them from how often they smack their heads on the ground. People act like they're cute, but they are leaky, disease-ridden, poorly designed little nightmares with no redeeming qualities. Story 34. This guy I knew in college went way too hard accusing his girlfriend of cheating when their baby was born looking too purple. Didn't wait for a doctor, didn't do a DNA test, just immediate full meltdown mode. He wrote this novel-length Facebook post calling her a liar, tagged her family, called the baby someone else's, and basically blew up his entire life in real time. Fast forward a few days, baby lightens up, DNA test confirms it's his kid. Instead of apologizing, this man just deleted his entire Facebook, like he thought if he hit uninstall on his reputation, the whole situation would cease to exist. Story 35. I was in the delivery room when a guy's soul left his body. He's holding his wife's hand, all excited, and the second the baby is born, he just freezes. The baby is very much not his race. The whole room goes dead silent. The wife bursts into tears. Without saying a single word, the guy just stands up and walks out. No yelling, no dramatic confrontation. Just the calmest, most efficient exit I have ever seen in my life. He never came back. No one even knows where he went. It's like he just walked straight into the shadow realm. Story 36. This woman was having a baby, and her husband was right by her side, thrilled to meet their daughter. The whole family had gone all in on the pink. Nursery clothes, even a pink car seat. Doctor pulls the baby out, goes to announce the gender, and then just stops talking. The dad's face slowly goes pale. Mom is confused. Turns out the baby was a boy. The doctor finally says, congratulations, it's a boy?" As if he wasn't just caught completely off guard himself. The dad blinks a few times and just goes, "You sure about that?" "Bro, I promise I know what a penis looks like." That poor kid spent the first year of his life dressed in the most aggressively pink wardrobe imaginable because these parents were too stubborn to start over. Story 37. So, a woman was in labor, and right before she started pushing, she grabbed the doctor's arm and whispered, "Tell me the color the second you see." Doctor is confused but nods. Baby comes out, and he immediately announces, "Congratulations, it's a white baby!" The dad? No hesitation. Stands up and walks out. Didn't yell, didn't ask questions, just gone. Man didn't even wait to cut the cord. It was like watching someone get up from a bad poker hand and immediately leave the casino. Story 38. A buddy of mine worked in the NICU and once had 2 women give birth a few days apart, to babies who had the same father. Turns out this guy got both women pregnant at the same time and somehow thought he could quietly get away with it. Then, suddenly, both moms are in the same hospital, on the same floor, giving birth to his kids within 72 hours of each other. Imagine walking into a maternity ward thinking you're about to meet your newborn, and instead accidentally stumble into your second family. Social workers had a very fun time that day. Story 39. My cousin's friend had what was basically a live-action paternity test. She wasn't dating anyone seriously, so when she got pregnant, she just straight up told the 3 potential dads, "Hey, not sure which of you it is, but feel free to show up." And all 3 of them did, just chilling in the waiting room, waiting to see who lost. Baby comes out, and one of the guys just sighs, nods, and says, "Welp, that's me." The other 2 patted him on the back, said, "Good luck, man," and left. No yelling, no accusations, just 3 dudes treating an unexpected fatherhood lottery like they were waiting for jury duty. Story 40. Fucking koalas. I cannot stress enough how deeply stupid these animals are. Their brains are too smooth to learn new things. If you take eucalyptus leaves off a branch and put them on a plate, they will starve to death next to a full meal because they don't recognize it as food. And that's not even the worst part. These nasty little creatures are riddled with chlamydia, like epidemic-level infection rates. If that wasn't bad enough, baby koalas transition to solid food by shoving their faces into their mother's butt and drinking her diarrhea to get the right gut bacteria. That's right. The first real meal of a baby koala's life is ass juice. And the males? They just drop out of trees mid-mating if the female fights back. They literally have extra fluid in their skulls to keep them from getting brain damage from how often they smack their heads on the ground. People think they're cute, but they are sexually aggressive, incontinent little dirtbags who have somehow managed to survive despite their best efforts.